Yes, I was born and raised in the Bay Area. But the good thing about the time that, because you said 2018, so you've been there for 8 years, or
Yeah, about 8 years. I got there. I came back the second time, 2017. Yeah.
that was like a good time for the Bay Area. Because I feel like I remember prior to everyone moving to like, obviously a lot of people that are like in tech, they move for Silicon Valley, but most of the people who work in Silicon Valley for the most part do not live in that area. So like a lot of them
Yeah.
go to like the East Bay or like they venture outside of Silicon Valley, and they drive in from there. And I remember a period before like that was like a major thing, like in the early 2000s, and then like when everyone started to move there, I was like, I noticed like a major shift. Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like that time period though, 2017 was a good time in the Bay Area.
Yeah, I think so too. And then, I mean, unfortunately, traffic is still so bad though. But I agree. Like, I feel like early 2000s is when everyone started moving because that's when you had Apple like starting to boom and Google and all these other tech giants, Facebook. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was kind of wild.
And then now, well, I don't know if that Macy's down there is gone, but like it kind of just like lost a lot of its allure to it. A lot of businesses
Yeah.
moved out of the area, like just like that area, like next to Westfield Mall and like that strip of like where Uniqlo and like Gap used to be.
Oh, it was so bad in COVID. It like
Yeah.
I think what happened is in COVID, it was a combination of things, but like COVID was one. And then the mayor for San Francisco at the time wasn't that great. And it just that combination created like a lot of like, like homelessness and crime stuff. So a lot of businesses started to leave. But after COVID, they started to get really like, I think I felt like the city started to like strong arm a lot of that more.
Mm.
So when we got the new mayor in, I think he's been in for probably like a year now. I think he got elected with the presidential election year. He's been doing a lot of like good stuff. There's a lot of businesses coming back. It's a lot cleaner. He was able to get Macy's to commit to stay there still.
Oh, okay.
Now the only downside is the mall is totally like done essentially. Like Westfield dropped its name off of it. And then Nordstrom closed down. The Nordstrom in there closed down. So I think the mall is like gonna I think something's going to happen to the mall, but at least like Union Square, the area around it is a lot more lively again, which is nice. So it
Mm.
seems like they're doing a good job. Like there's a lot of media propaganda that says like, oh, like San Francisco is in the dumps and not, which like, yeah, like 2021 to 2023, I would say was really bad, but it's not like that at all. It's quite a lot better than it used to be.
Yeah, I was working on 16th and I was working on 16th and Mission during the pandemic. So I want to say it was 2020, like around September. I was like commuting from Richmond on the other side, and I was
Yeah.
coming into the city to work. And it was no, it was a shit show. Like that. And
Yeah.
then when I left California to come to Texas in 2021, it was kind of still in that same state. I haven't been back to that area since then. So I'm glad to hear that it's like kind of getting some of that vibrant energy back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a good thing. It's good for the city.
I mean, before we kick it off, how's the holidays treating you? Any recent pickups? I feel like my
Recent
wallet's taking a
pickups.
hit.
Yeah, what did I grab this month? Well, I don't know if I really grabbed a lot this month, but recent pickups like the Aim Leon Dore New Balances, the 993s, they had like a first come first serve restock a few weeks back, so I did
Oh
grab a
yeah,
pair of
yeah,
those. I was always kicking myself when they did the pre-order last year and I couldn't grab them, but it was just like it was a bad time. There was a lot of good releases in December. I already like used my budget, and then I was like, okay, well, I can't really pre-order this right now, so that was nice. What else did I grab? Yeah, I've been getting. I got a few packages from brands, I guess. So I got like the hidden Asics,
oh, those are fire
the new
too.
collab. Yeah, so I have the
Yes.
Dusk and the Dawn pair. The Dusk is cool. I think a lot of people really like the Dusk and like that. It's kind of like a different color palette from what Hidden usually does. I like the
Like that
Dawn
blue,
too.
right? It was blue and black.
Yeah, it's like a black and blue basically, which makes sense, right? Like it's dusk, black, blue hour, like it all kind of goes with itself. Um, I also got the John Geiger, the 005s. Um,
Mm.
Those are actually really nice. Like I don't think people really see me as much of like an independent brand wearer or supporter, but I mean, John Geiger seems to really like what I do with my content. So he sent me that pair. And they're actually like really, really good. Like I've had the 004s before, and I think the fives just like blow them out of the water, like way more comfortable. I think they're more aesthetically pleasing. Just a really nice shoe. Um, yeah, I think that's everything I could think of, honestly. Um, but to be fair, like I'm also really bad that like, sometimes I get like 3, 4 pairs and then I'm like, okay, out of these 3, 4 pairs, what do I really like? And then I sell those and then I get different
Yeah.
pairs. So I do a lot of like things in and out just to like have my nice collection.
Yeah, nice
So like,
curated selection.
yeah. So like, honestly, maybe I have another couple pickups recently that I just don't remember. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard when you're not like in front of your shoes and you can look at them and be like, oh yeah, I got this, this, and this, honestly.
Yeah, the only thing I picked up, which I think had that sneaker come out just a tad bit sooner, because I don't think they're even fully like they've been shipped. I got the notification that they've been shipped out, and I should be getting them next week. But the
Funny.
Soleil Foggy Clouds that he dropped on
Oh,
Black
okay.
Friday, I thought those were like when I saw those, I think he dropped like a hint on his Instagram maybe like 4 months prior, and I was like,
Yeah.
this is the next thing. This is
Oh,
the
this
next
is
thing.
that's the color gradient one, right? Like when
Yeah,
I did actually get those too. Those are
yeah.
really nice.
Hopes are fire.
Yeah, I like them more than that other blue pair.
Mhm.
And I know the 1,000 is not like the most popular model, unfortunately, but I think Salehi did a really good job with that pair.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely got a big push with that 1,000 though. That 1,000 in Absorb got pushed very heavily in my opinion this year.
Hmm.
I just don't think it got many like great colorways. Like they put out a lot of them, but they didn't get a lot of great colorways. That colorway though, that Fog Beauty Cloud is the best one I've seen.
I think so too. Like that. So I would rank it like, well, I won't rank them in order, but I think my favorite three out of all the thousands was that. I really liked what Joe Freshgoods did with his pack. It wasn't for me, but like I like the pink ones he released of those,
Oh yeah.
um and then Aim Leon Dore had a pack too, but that was like a lot more subtle. But the
Mm.
gray pair they had in that pack was just really, really nice. But that was like it was kind of like a patent leather plastic panel shoe. So I feel like also that was one where aesthetically not quite the best.
Mm.
But I think I have to agree, like the Soleil's
Yeah,
probably the
those.
best one.
And I mean, and I even told this, I had them on maybe 3 episodes ago. I was like, the way that you marry colors together is something like, so I've always been into fashion. It's always been around, like, just growing up, talking about sneakers with my homies in middle school and high school. But I didn't really, really get into like, you know, what I currently do now as far as like streetwear and sneakers until I graduated college. Because at first I thought I was going to work for some financial institution. Not that is not the route it took. But obviously I got furloughed from my job in March of 2020 when everything
Oh man.
popped off. And then I was like, I guess I'm just home. And like in California during 2020, you couldn't do anything except go to the grocery store or you had
Yeah,
to go get medicine. So that's when I just started taking pictures. I was like, wait, I kind of like this. Like, this is kind of dope. And I like, started getting followers. I was like, wow, okay, interesting.
that's awesome.
Um, I forgot where I was even going. But I think I was talking about Soleil, and I was like, I was letting him know that like, the way that he marries colors is like really dope because a lot of people aren't so adventurous with their color palettes. They usually do like the tones like olive, cream, browns, more like the Johns of the world. But when people could take multiple colors and blend them and it works, I get that. I have a little bit of a bias to, those type of sneakers or collabs, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think those ones require a lot more skill. Obviously, it's more proof of skill too, of being like a creator or knowing how you work with color or how to design a sneaker. Salehi does a good job with it, with using louder colors and is able to make it all work together. I also think Action Bronson is a guy
Oh
who does a
yeah.
good job at it too, because I feel like at least was, and it's just a difference between the two creators, right? Because I feel like with Salehi, he really picks colors that you in your mind already think, oh yeah, these work together. Like it's a no-brainer, and he makes it look aesthetically beautiful. I feel like Action Bronson does the more sort of, I guess the word would be like eclectic or kind of like exploratory in a sense, where you're going to see the shoe the first time and you're going to be in like a photo. It's not going to be a good photo because it's not going to be his photo. It's going to be a leak. And you're like, this, I don't get how this to anyone looks good because the colors are just so drastically different. But then as time goes on and he releases the shoe and you get it in hand, you're like, oh yeah, these actually are really nice shoe. And I feel like a good example of, well, I mean, obviously all of Bronson's shoes for the most part, I feel like are that way. But I feel like one of the ones that's like the most obvious example of that was with his Rosewater 1906s. Because I feel like when that first came out, a lot of people were really torn about like how that looked. But once the visuals rolled out and they released and people got them in hand, people were like, oh yeah, this is like, even to this day, I hear a lot of people say like, oh yeah, this is his best work because it's just really well done.
Yeah, no, those are good. I mean, honestly, it's not as an adventurous color, but even like that Azul pair, that blue, what was the nights?
The Medusa Azul, those are
like
nice.
those. I seen those in person. I was like, wait, like on, because I mean, shoes, depending on who's taking the picture, I feel like they have a very different look when you see them in person. So like when I saw pictures of those, I was like, I don't know. But then I saw them like in person. I was like, wait, what are those? And they're like, oh, this is Action Bronson. I was like, oh, okay.
They're fire.
Yeah.
I also like with that pair, they did something with the mesh on it to kind of almost give it a 3D illusion when you look at it, which I thought was really neat. Like, I think what they did is they made the top layer of the mesh like a really dark blue, and then under it immediately was like a lighter blue, and it gives off this kind of weird look. And obviously it has the reflective details and stuff. So it's that one is really beautiful. That's the most subtle of the three in that pack, obviously. Like the Scorpius is not nearly as subtle. Same with the Rosewater, but that blue I feel like is the most neutral, goes with everything, probably the most popular as a result.
Yeah, I don't even know if this is gonna make sense once I say it out loud, but in my head it makes sense. So everyone just follow on. I kind of view Action Bronson's collabs with New Balance the same way that I view CDG's collaborations with Nike. Like they're very subtle. Like they're not like so mainstream that everyone's talking about them, but like they're like very subtly making something like the best of the collaboration space, in my opinion. Like CDG, they take a hit sometimes because like they're very simple with their designs, use like a black away or something like that. But every once in a while, because again, I said the sneaker of 2024 was that CDG Foamposite. And somebody that's an avid Foamposite lover, seeing it change to that degree, I was like, oh no, they killed it. They absolutely killed it.
Yeah, that's a nice pair. I wish I was able to get those. That was a really hard release to purchase.
Yeah.
But that color on them is beautiful. Yeah. Like I know the first pairs were just black and white, which I think those in its own were really cool just because it was a different Foamposite shape and mold and all of that. But with that new unique color, those were special.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to get a pair, and like that is whenever I'm in my closet, I'm looking like, what sneaker down there? I'm like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
All right, cool, man. All right, what's going on, man? It's your boy Kloth Talk, and I'm back with another video, man. If I'm not starting somewhere, I am not going nowhere, and this is gonna be another segment of Kloth Talk. Now, again, Kloth Talk is just where I grab the article, try some hype beats in the complex, and it's all talking about sneakers, fashion, all that stuff that I love talking about, and I bring people on who have those same passions. Now, we have a sneaker enthusiast. Some would say a sneaker connoisseur. Some would also say someone within the sneaker space that has a refined palate, if you want to say. Also, just someone that I also just recently found out about. Once I saw your content, I was like, instant follow. We have none other than and I'm a hope I'm gonna say it right the first time. Is it Adham?
Adham is pretty good. That's pretty
Adham.
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Adham, aka Chefdoomy on Instagram. Man, how you doing?
Doing well, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right, man. Doing all right.
Yeah.
I love when I can talk to somebody from like, even though you're not from the Bay Area, you've been there long enough. So like that similarity aspect is what connected to me like instantly when I saw your account. I'm like, oh, Bay Area? Oh, whatever. Instantly followed.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a place, and I can't remember the name of it. It's the when I used to work in San Francisco, there was a spot on in the Mission that sold like neighborhood. They sold, they sold Stone Island. They sold. Oh, I can't remember the name.
Oh, that's got to be Dark Side. Dark Side
It's
Initiative.
Initiative, right?
Yeah, they had a
Yeah.
location in North Beach first, and then they opened their second one, which you're probably referring to. Their second one on it was in the Mission, but on Valencia, I believe.
Oh, Valencia. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I used to pop into there like on my work breaks, and I was like, that was like honestly, if I really think about it, that was like my first introduction to some of like these names, these companies like Neighborhood, Stone Island, maybe even Yoji too. Like there was like that store was like super dope. Like I feel like San Francisco or just the Bay Area, doesn't necessarily get like the same stain in the game as far as like fashion or like sneakers as like LA or like New York does. But like there's good hidden gems in San Francisco. They even got a nice case down there.
They do, yeah. And I have the same sentiment as you that I feel like Bay Area style is really unique. I don't know if it ever truly crosses over with like sneakers or streetwear in the way that's typically publicized. But as much as what people are doing in LA and New York, but as you said, lots of hidden gems. You're still able to buy shoes from those places and clothing and style it and all of that. It's just you just have to know game essentially.
You definitely have to know ball because like those stores are not just like broadcasted on some billboard. It's like tucked in a little nook and cranny, and it's like the store is super long, but it's not wide.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll walk past it if you did not notice it for sure. Okay, so we just go ahead and get straight into it, man. As someone who has scrolled to the very bottom of your account, I kind of want to, I kind of just want to like, take me through because it starts very early. During the stages of Instagram where people weren't necessarily getting monetized like that, people weren't necessarily getting all these partnerships and like where, the connection to a company and a creator wasn't as, big as that ecosystem is now. So kind of like take me through like what got you on Instagram and then what got you into like taking pictures of sneakers?
Man, so I mean, if you went that far, then you saw like my first post had nothing to do with sneakers. So back in it must have been like 2014, 2015. So like way back then. So about 10 years ago or so, I was really into EDM artists, and like my favorite thing was like dubstep. So like Skrillex, Excision, like all these like really big names. And I just got really into like band merch, but more specifically t-shirts. So whether it's like from the artist directly, or there is also this label that I think no longer exists anymore. It used to be called Youth Machine, and they used to have partnerships with a lot of these artists and have releases with those artists, special releases, as well as their own line. I used to buy a ton of their tees, and it's just tees. Like that's all they sold. I got it to a certain point where I had like 30, 40 tees or whatever. And in my mind, I was just like, I kind of want to like show these, write a caption, like kind of show like the tees and like pose in them, like legit. Like that's what I wanted to do. And because I wasn't into sneakers, I also really wasn't into streetwear. So like, it's not like I had elaborate outfits. It was legit tee, whatever pair of jeans I had, and like whatever pair of shoes I had. And honestly, like majority of my clothing came from like sale racks. Like it wasn't anything I would say particularly stylish. I didn't really care for it. I didn't pay attention to it. But that's how I started. I was just, you could go and, I was living in Calgary in Canada at the time. I just go like, the Peace Bridge, which is like a iconic pedestrian bridge, stand in front of it. Had a friend who had a camera, just took some photos. You'd send them over. I'd just post them. Like very innocent, very simple. But as I started doing that more, in my mind, I'm like, I need to like present myself a bit better. Like that was just the thought that I need to find a way to present myself better. And I thought the thing that would help was having a nice pair of sneakers. And what really made me get that thought was the fact that I looked at one of my photos with what I was wearing, and I had these like really ugly looking Ugg loafers that kind of looked like Toms, but they weren't Toms. And they were just like, and not only were they like bad, like I wore them so much that they looked beat, like they were stained and everything. And I was like, maybe if I just have a nice pair of sneakers, it'll kind of tie everything in together. And this was probably around end of 2015, start of 2016. And I had no clue like the sneaker world or how it worked. But anyways, I kind of had a fascination of Adidas at the time. So I said, okay, like, let's keep it easy. Let's just see what Adidas offers, right? That was about the time that I was into that, was right about the time, I think the NMD just launched, the OG NMD. It was December 2015 when it launched. And I started looking into it like shortly after. So I started looking at it, and then because I was into EDM and followed a lot of EDM artists, Adidas had this huge push of the NMD with these artists, like having them pose in photo shoots and have them wearing them. And so in my mind, I was like, the NMD, that's the first shoe I'm going to get. Sure enough, they had their second launch of the NMD in March of that year. Online launches were a completely different ballgame than now, and I'm not going to get into the details, but I mean, the short of it is, if you're patient, you'll get it. Basically, I stayed 2 hours on the website trying to checked out, order shipped, got the shoes. So it was pretty cool. And I loved that shoe. It was the cool gray. I think it's Circunet was the material. So cool gray Circunet NMD, which was, it had like a light blue block and a light gray block for the base. And then the knit was that Circunet that was kind of like a gray, black tones or whatever. Really nice. It was a nice pair. Wore that thing a lot, but babied it. It was my only sneaker. And it was my only sneaker, just so you know, like for a very long time. It wasn't until maybe 6 months after that, I was like, oh, okay, like we need to change things up. Let's start buying more sneakers. And Adidas was the only thing I was really familiar with. So I continued buying Adidas sneakers and starting to learn more about like how it works, boutiques, how releases work, all that stuff. And eventually I wanted to go from showcasing tees to showcasing sneakers and showcasing them in a really professional, beautiful way. And at the time I got into sneakers, I met some new friends, still a lot friends of mine, you know, shout out Lewis, Rome, I'm Il Vibe on socials, 215 Shooter on socials. They were the ones that really convinced me, like, just buy a camera. You don't have to buy like the most amazing thing, just get going. So I bought a Sony a6000. 2017. Hey. Yeah. Great starter camera, honestly. And such a good price point. And I got it for I bought it for myself on my birthday in 2017. And then just, you know, since then, I mean, the rest is history. I just got so involved and in tune with sneakers and streetwear, taking photos, styling myself. And that's just how it's been. And, the key thing for me is, you know, I come from an engineering background. So I was always very technical in knowing about like the shoes, how the releases happen, the history. So really try to maintain that knowledge as I got into it and more involved, so that I could build that appreciation for different sneakers and whatnot, and creators and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. So it's funny enough that you bring that up. There's two things I want to talk about. The NMD, during that 2015, 16, and even 17 era, elite sneakers. Sneakers.
Yeah.
I had
an elite era.
Yeah. No, like that was like during like that. If you had some NMDs, some track jogger shorts, not shorts, but like track pants, and then like you had a hoodie with a jean jacket over it. Oh, you were that person.
Yeah, you were that person. And I really love that era too a lot, which I know kind of, you know, maybe we could talk about it a bit, but 2015 to 2018, that era with Boost and NMDs and the Human Races and Yeezys, I felt like it was a very genuine era of sneakers. I think 2018 was kind of when it started to kind of crash into more of the hype piece kind of style. But that 2015 and start of 2018 era is so genuine. Like it's still one of my favorite eras of sneakers I've been a part of, because it was so much centered around community and appreciation of product for what it was versus, value or attention or whatnot. And that's how I met, my friends that I'm still friends with to this day. It's how I really grew the appreciation for sneakers. It felt so genuine and just so fun, because everyone wanted to go outside. Everyone wanted to get photos and create content in a genuine manner, because they just liked doing it. It was fun, not because of any kickbacks or any perks. And this year, I feel like we almost got there, like really close and really like very familiar, I guess, in that sense. But man, 2015 to 2018, hard to beat.
Yeah. I mean, that's not even, widening that scope. Just like, I think a lot of people get hit with that. If you were of age and was around to like know what was happening, that 2015, 2016, 17 music era was also just great.
Oh, yeah, it was crazy.
Like that Life of Pablo, I was in college when Life of Pablo came out. That was a time to be alive. Or like, I know people have, feelings attached to Drake now, but like, we're not going to sit here and lie like as if Drake in like 2015 and 16 was not dropping bangers.
Yeah, he was cooking.
You can go anywhere without hearing one dance. I promise you.
Exactly. Yeah, he was cooking.
Yeah. And it's funny because like I like that you brought up MD, the Ultra Boost, the Human Races. Also, those Pharrell packs. Those
man,
colored packs were so fire. Honestly, Pharrell's time with Adidas, even with some of the Stan Smiths that he was doing, like that was a good time too.
Oh yeah, he was doing
like
great.
The polka dot ones, and like the multicolored packs. Because as I was scrolling back very far, I was, making sure I wasn't trying to like anything to alert that I was back this far on your page. You couldn't have told me you weren't maybe either one, an Adidas enthusiast, or you were working for them, because literally your page up until like a certain point, I think the first break that I saw was Cactus Jack Jordan 4s. And I was like, oh, that's a Nike. That's not an Adidas, but like everything before them was all Adidas. And I feel like, obviously there's so many brands now that people are rocking, whether it be the Sauconys, whether it be the Solomons, whether it be Reebok, New Balance, whatever case it may be. But like back then, Adidas and Nike were going head to head. Like they were fighting for who's the top dog. And I feel like Adidas back then was really like, they had almost a competitive edge against Nike. Just a little bit.
Yeah, man. If I could go back and do it all over again, I wouldn't be as loyal to one brand as I was. And I think I was a bit blinded that I was familiar with Adidas. I got into Adidas. So for me, it was like, oh yeah, that's the shoe for me, because I just understand it. I know how to use it. I know how to wear it. I think I would have been how I am now, and a lot more adventurous and more open to trying different brands, because eventually Adidas still does great stuff. I know they had a bit of a cooling off. I know a lot of people have the rhetoric of, like Yeezy's what's made it popular and all of that. But, Adidas is still a great brand. But I feel like when I let myself check out new things, which was, like Jordans or Nikes or even New Balance back then, that's when I started to really find my true style and my true self. Especially when I got with New Balance. Like when I bought my first New Balance, I think it was 2018, they did, for their Gray Day that year, they released a New Balance 997 Gray Day that I absolutely loved. And I feel like it kind of was the shift of my own style and finding something that was a lot more true to represent who I am and what I like. So that's a bit of a regret. Not that I regret owning Adidas. I loved all the shoes. It just, I kind of wish I opened my worldview, earlier on and let myself try these new things and find myself. It's sneakers is all about finding your individuality, right? So at the end of the day, so if you really corner yourself and not let yourself be open to new things, you're not able to find that, and then in a sense, you kind of become an imposter in your own hobby, which is not a good thing.
Yeah, I have a common rhetoric on my page, whether it be Instagram or YouTube. I don't think anyone can personally call themselves a sneakerhead and be loyal to one brand, especially or even just one silhouette. Like
Yeah.
I understand the Jordan 1 is just that state. It's that state. Like it's that big. It's synonymous with the word sneakers. But if your entire collection is just Jordan 1s, in my opinion, I'm like, oh, you're not a sneakerhead. You're just like a brand loyalist. And I think
Yeah.
I also grew up in a unique position because like I didn't grow up in like the wealthiest family. So like I was wearing Sauconys and New Balances in like middle school. So like when I saw the wave kind of catch up and people were rocking, I'm like, oh, okay. So I wasn't tripping.
No. I think you're right. I think at least present day, yeah, buying one brand, buying one type of shoe, you're more of a brand loyalist. I feel like more in the past, like when you're talking about like, and when I say the past, I'm talking about like, I don't know, the 90s or 2000s. I think people were really loyal to one brand more so often, and it was more acceptable because of, the internet wasn't like it is today, where it's so easy for different styles and stuff to come to light. And everything was just super hyper regional. So the people in those areas just knew what they knew. So like Jordan and Nike back then were really the one brand that was just super popular. So like you go anywhere, you're going to see people own a ton of them. But when it came to New Balance, like DMV area, right? Like that's where it was really popular.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Air Force Ones, which originally was not a popular silhouette. I think more specifically, if I recall correctly, it was like Baltimore that really made them more popular again. Like, so all this to say, like, totally agree with you. I feel like now when all of these brands are doing great things, and even aside from just Saucony, New Balance, Adidas, Jordan, you got Hoka, you got Solomon, you got OnCloud, you got just all these different brands that exist and provide a different flavor to the sneakerhead selection of style. Like there's really no reason to limit yourself to one brand. You're just limiting yourself to something that you might end up trying, being like, hey, this actually isn't bad. I like these a lot more.
And I think it was either your account or it was Ad Sneaks that posted a K-Swiss. And I was like, wait, I like a K-Swiss. I think it was a collab shoe. And I was like, no, everyone's literally like, and I said this in a video discussing, which we'll get to that later. But I said in the video, like 2025 was an absolute great year for sneakers.
Yeah.
Like this, as far as like how many people had access to sneakers or certain collabs and certain, silhouettes and like, how much creativity was coming from it. This is probably one of the better years of sneakers I've seen in the past 3, in my opinion. Like it's been a phenomenal year.
Yeah, I have to agree. My thought is that I think 2023 and 2024 also had a lot of great releases. But I think the challenge was that there was still the culture vultures involved and like the bad actors that, maybe just not committed or like wanted the money. And I feel like a lot of those people departed in 2024. So 2025, you have, great releases, but then you don't have these people who are going for it for the money, right? Like it's a lot smaller pool of people. So you look back to the year and you're like, oh yeah, great releases. A lot of people could get stuff. You can see a lot of winners. Everyone's really enjoying it. And obviously not everyone can get the shoe they want, but at least you're seeing that real people are getting it. Like most recent examples, even these Fragment Travis Scotts, right? Like we all know they do backdooring and whatever, but at the end of the day, like I didn't get a pair, but when I went on Twitter, I saw tons of people win. So to me, it's like, okay, well, it's a raffle. Not everyone can win, but you can still see a lot of people get the pair in their hands. And I feel like that's part of the reason that this year for sneakers is just really fun. It's enjoyable, is that it's, like I was saying before, it's becoming a lot more genuine again. And it's a lot about the connection and the appreciation of the product versus the product itself and, just the money attached to it.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'm just on social media more, but I noticed like a lot of people are using, oh, this is my first one on the sneakers app. Like if to your point, a lot of people who necessarily kind of got priced out, whether it be the resellers or the bots taking everything. In 2025, I feel like a lot of people were getting access to sneakers that they just could not get maybe 2 years ago. So
yeah, for sure.
I feel you on that sentiment.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you said one other thing, but that's the next question. But I do just want to wrap up this more into like your background and your story. So would you say like, what would you say is like your earliest memory when it comes to sneakers? Is it the NMD or is it another sneaker that kind of like piqued your interest, but you just weren't as interested back then?
Man, that is a good question. I have to be honest, it's the NMD because, prior to that, like band, merch, Instagram path, I really, really didn't care about fashion at all. And, we gotta look at who I was back then versus who I am now. I feel like now I'm a lot more extroverted. Like I'm more willing to talk to people, to connect to people, talk about my opinions, sneakers and that sort of thing. I wasn't like that 10 years ago. I was so like just into myself. I didn't have the self-esteem. I just didn't really care for it. So like,
Same.
It's just, that's just what it is. Like, that's just the reality. Like, I feel like who I am and who I've grown into as a person now is completely different than who I used to be.
Mm-hmm. No, I used to be, I'm not going to say anti-social media, but I didn't, like, I'll make maybe one post a year.
Yeah.
I was very, like, my time on social media, because, like, I grew up in a time where also, like, I wanted to be outside. I didn't want to be in the house. I wanted to be with my friends, especially in college. I was off social media, basically. I, like, wanted to be and experience things with people. So to see now I'm talking in front of a camera, posting 30-minute YouTube videos, I'm like, who the hell am I?
Yeah, exactly.
So
and that's how I feel too, man. Like now I'm posting content and putting myself I'm like, who am I? Like, I get it, totally get it.
All right, let's get to some heavy topics. I think this is, you already kind of like pinged on this, but I want to get into this because this is a conversation that picked up steam in the past like month or two. So the question is the sneaker market dead? There's like 2 viral videos. A guy that owns a sneaker shop, he was like, can we talk about how the sneaker market dead? These shoes that we have on these walls, they used to go for this, but now I have to sell them for this. And then another person was like, which they made a duet to that video. They were like, yeah, the reason the sneaker market is dead because a lot of people don't have that love for sneakers anymore. So before I give my thoughts, when you hear the sneaker market is dead, what comes to your mind?
So any commentary relating to sneaker culture or whatever being dead is false. Like completely false. Sneakers aren't profitable for resale business. Yeah, that's probably true. Sneakers are not something that you can use as a commodity to make money off of. That's probably true. That video, when I first watched it, before everyone had their takes on it, my very first thought when I watched it in full was like, this person is intentionally saying something to advertise their shop. Like, it was completely a marketing geared photo or video. And you could tell because they're just like, even more specifically, they said the line of, oh, we have this Yeezy that on StockX is this much, but hey, we're trying to sell it for this much. And the fact that he's really candid about saying, this is where you would buy it from somewhere else, but from us, you get it this much. The intent was to get people to be like, oh, they sell sneakers cheap. Let's check them out. And then if you actually look at his TikTok page, like it's a business TikTok page that like has a lot of followers. He has a lot of content, like he's doing well. So immediately I knew it was a marketing gimmick. And I think the follow-on video, which was I think it was like a girl that was sitting in front of like a tower of like Jordan 1 boxes, which, talking about the sneaker culture dead, yeah, I mean, you're sitting in front of Jordan 1s, which have been oversaturated. So from a money standpoint, yeah, maybe that's why you feel that way. But I mean, to answer the question, no, it's not dead. It's becoming more genuine again, as I was saying before, like a lot more genuine. The right people who are actually into it are getting into it. it's all about community. It's all about being fly. Like it's getting back to those more authentic connections and wants and desires, which makes sneakers thriving, not dying, but thriving.
Yeah, no, I think because I made a video about it, and my approach was not necessarily about like these two, but like that conversation is the conversation around the sneaker market being dead has already been there for like maybe like, you know, like
at least 2 years. Yeah.
2 years. I was about to say 3 to 2 years. And it's always been lingering there, but obviously those videos blew up past what they thought those videos were going to do. So like, I think what you said is correct. The resale market may be cooked for. And I think that may be cooked for numerous reasons. One, the taste that people have now is so different. Like if I walk into because I was in Vegas last year and I went to that sneaker shop. I don't think it's no longer there. That's in the
Urban Necessities.
Is that the one at Caesar's Palace? I believe so.
Yeah, that's one at Caesar's that I think just got shut down a few weeks ago.
And there's another one in there. But when I walk in there and I only see Jordan 1s and I only see certain Jordans and certain Nikes, and I'm like, okay, where's the Solomons at? Or where are the Sauconys at? Where are the Reeboks at? Or where are I just like the taste that people have now is so expansive to where like you can't build your entire store around a Jordan 4 anymore.
Exactly.
You can't build your entire store off the Jordan 1, or even just like extremely high to where like you can't even afford, you know, some of the off-white prices for like sneakers anymore. So I just like that is what's dead. Which for me, that's perfect. The consumer, oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, it's great.
Now I can get that shoe that was $500. I can get that for around $200 if I'm really feeling okay.
Exactly. Yeah, it's great. I reach backs are a lot easier if I have to do them, but I find that now because of how things are, I'm in a position where it's very, very rare where I have to do a reach back. Like it's, if I want the shoe, I'll get the shoe. Basically, it's more so guaranteed just because I think a lot of the release mechanisms are overprotective for the most part, with the exception of a few releases. Obviously, there's always going to be a few that are extremely hyped, but because the release methods are so overprotective, and it's very, very few people that are, you know, bodying or trying to buy a ton to resell, it just makes it a lot easier to buy a shoe at retail. And if you have to reach back, it's like, it's not a shoe that was $150. It's now going to be $400. It's going to be a $150 shoe that might be like $200.
Mm-hmm. And I very recently just did not get a release. The Verdi Dunks, like the ones, the fur, the multicolored ones, I forget the name of those. I think that release opened on the 17th. They announced it on the 18th. And that took so long because there was like, we had that spinning wheel. It was like, oh, we're vetting through this. We're trying to make sure people are getting it. And then I checked back and it was like, yeah, you didn't get them.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That launch was like, I guess it was like a restock, so to speak, for like the holidays. It was very, very slim stock. I think they maybe had they must have only had like 10 pairs or something. Like even when you entered the raffle and you saw like what sizes were available, like my first thought was like, yeah, like it's probably like 1 or 2 pairs per size, if that. So I totally get it.
Size 4 to 8. Or like there was like a drastic leap. I forget what number it was, but it was a leap from one size to another. I was like, this is odd.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, again, I told you my brain would be all over the place because we're talking about releases now. You just had some commentary on the Chanel bag inspired Vans from Off the Wall about how their release for these shoes have kind of been a little murky. Can you kind of just share like what's your sentiment on releasing them, and more specifically that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think releases in general, at the end of the day, like we are in a year where it's no surprise that online drops, especially the ones that are met with high demand, will be a challenge, whether it's site traffic just from just a lot of people trying, or even if it's a shoe that people know resell. So there's going to be bot activity or reseller activity, which even gives that surge of demand. Like websites and brands, they should be aware that that's a reality. They should be more cognizant of how their product is going to perform and be able to put the appropriate countermeasures to make it a better experience. Of course, like I was saying before, at the end of the day, I know not everyone can get a pair, but you want people to leave like, oh, you don't get it, like with a more positive experience, right? So with Vans specifically, their site just sucks, like straight up. Like it's not built for a lot of traffic. They don't put any additional measures for hyped releases. And they've had a number of hyped releases like this year and last year, honestly, like the Satoshi Vans and then the Chanel bag Vans. And then apparently these Demon Hunter Vans that released a few weeks ago also was really challenged to buy because the site was having issues. So, I put out a post on Twitter basically saying like, hey, Vans, like you need to do better. Like, there's going to be a better, that this release is going to be bought it for sure. Like everyone's going to want it for sure because it's a restock of a shoe that's reselling a lot because there's so much demand for it. Like, you should be able to put some countermeasures to alleviate traffic or to make it more fair or even make it a raffle. I don't know. Like being in this space of kind of just like being ignorant about it is not the right thing. It's not the right approach, especially when so many brands have taken measures to make it more enjoyable. Like, for example, like even Levi's, because of the Air Max 95 and how bad it was, they even got equal and even put equal. And Levi's is not like a small business where they can move quickly. Like it's a very old, established, family-owned brand. Like it's quite a big deal that they're able to listen to the consumer voice and implement something like that to make the purchase experience on hyped product better. So it's just being ignorant as a brand is just not the answer. Like you have to be aware of the consumer and you have to look out for the consumer and you have to make the experience positive for the consumer, whether they end up with the product or
not. No, I couldn't agree more. So then just to play the other side of the fence real quick, would you say that, is it fair to say since they haven't had necessarily this sort of hype and it's like, since basically what I'm trying to say is like, since they're not used to this type of traffic, can you lend them some, grace for what they're currently trying to go through or work through, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, I know they don't get a lot of launches. So I understand that, it will take time for them to get it right. But also at the same time, like, I mean, it's not like their very first launch that was hyped, right? And me personally, I feel like it's a no-brainer. It's a restock of of the souvenir Vans that were popular. Like, of course, it's going to be met with high demand. And not only was it a restock, it's technically the third release, right? Because the second release was the burgundy pair, which was also a challenge to buy. So you're having a similar style that's consistently being released. You should be able at that point to put a measure in place to help people out, right? Unless they think it's just going to be like one and done and it's not worth the investment, I guess. But that's also not good for a brand to feel that way because they're basically saying like, oh, like our extra attention and possibly more profits is just a temporary surge. Like you don't want to communicate that either. So I don't know. I think it's just maybe they're just too focused on the bottom line. So it doesn't matter to pay for the extra money on these measures. The product sells out. That's a win. Vans is owned by what is it? VF Corp, I think it's called, which owns like a bunch of different brands. Like it owns I think they're the ones that own TNF. They're the ones that own not Patagonia.
Okay.
Anyways,
yeah.
They own like a whole family of brands. It's like Vans, TNF, a bunch. They're the ones that bought Supreme.
Oh, Dickies, North Face, Timberland, Vans, JanSport. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's a conglomerate. Okay.
So it's a huge conglomerate. They also own Supreme, I believe. So, or they did at one point, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So, they're probably just focused on the bottom line. But I think it was when they had owned Supreme, they updated Supreme to be Shopify. So like, maybe update Vans to be Shopify. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, truthfully, again, broadening this scope, the retail sector as a whole hasn't been performing well. So I feel like, you know, even Nike, as far as like performance on, you know, S&P is just has not been doing so hot. But I don't know how much that always plays a role into like what and how things play out on the, you know, consumers end. Um, but yeah, I agree with the Vans thing because I wanted those shoes.
Yeah.
I wanted those sneakers
A
bad.
lot of us did, man. All
So,
of us did, basically. So I get it.
and I feel like it would do them more justice to install a system where more people could get it because then now your name is circulating within, you know, the ethos of the sneaker culture. So then like next year people are gonna be watching. But like after you leave a bad taste in someone's mouth 3 times, it's like I don't fucking care.
Yeah, maybe. But like I also feel like sneakerheads love pain because we always say we won't do something and we just end up trying to do it again.
Yeah. It's that love hate relationship.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you know we've talked about some great sneakers that dropped this year. So like I'm very curious on like what separates a great sneaker from just a hype sneaker.
I think a great sneaker is something that is timeless. I mean, that's the answer. It just has to be timeless, which doesn't really answer the question, I guess. But I guess more specifically, what differentiates something from being timeless versus hype? I think it has to do with the design and how it's designed. That it's a design that isn't too in the trend, which I guess something that's in the trend would be like, hey, like something went viral on TikTok, and then you're designing based off of that viral moment, and then, you know, obviously things that are viral die, then that's kind of like a hype sneaker or a hype, something that was built off of hype. I think timeless is more so really focusing on what's something that you could wear with a variety of different styles, a variety of different palettes over, you know, 10, 15, 20 years. Now, this isn't sneakers, but I mean, to me, the best example is like the Supreme box logo hoodies. Like, you know how they released like a camo one and then they had all the other colors? I feel like the best two they had was the camo one and the olive one. But I feel like the camo one, now that I've seen it in person, it's like, it's cool, it's awesome, but it doesn't live to the test of time, really. Whereas the olive one is a nice color, it's subtle, and, you know, 5-10 years down the road, you could still wear that hoodie. And it's just good. I feel like sneakers are the same thing, right? So, I mean, for me, like an example of hype versus timeless would be like the Off-White collab. Like I think Virgil with Off-White, when he was still around, he did a really good job that, yeah, I mean, obviously the sneakers are hyped because it was such a big deal collaboration. But to this day, people still talk about those sneakers. I mean, with the exception of a few models, I guess. But, you know, the Vapor Maxes, the Prestos, the ones,
The fours.
the fours, the fives, like he picked the right color tones and it really spoke to the language of the shoe, and the design ethos behind them were just so calculated so that you can wear those shoes over and over again and it doesn't feel like something hype. It's just truly timeless. Whereas I guess a shoe like, I think like Yeezy's line didn't really do a good job of being timeless. Like it's very out there, a very specific style that's kind of like it works in the moment, but I feel like you can't really wear a Yeezy 350 now. Like it doesn't really work with what's trending. Like I'm sure at some point in time, like athleisure wear and that stuff will trend again, and that's when the 350 will work great. But now it doesn't really work. You know, part of it being a timeless shoe is just the fact that it works with everything so well.
That bike, it kind of gets hard because I'm gonna throw some sneakers out there and you tell me whether or not it's great or it's just hype. Air Mag.
Air Mag is just hype.
Okay. The Yeezy 2, the Nike Air Yeezy 2.
I think those are, that's a tough one. I feel like those are more hype than timeless. I don't think the silhouette is really, okay. And to be fair, I don't follow that. I don't know that history of Yeezy really closely, so I could be totally off base here. But I feel like there's nothing really special about the silhouette. and just people really like the colorways and that the fact that Yeezy's attached to it. So I feel like it's more hype than timeless. And I think also proof of that, though, obviously it's a rare sneaker, so maybe it's not true, but proof of that is you don't really see people talking about it or wearing it a lot.
I think the wearing aspect may be hard given.
The age of it, right?
Is bad. Now, I would personally, I love that shoe. I would love to own a pair. I don't think I would consciously buy one just because of how long it's been. So I feel you on that. The Sean Witherspoons, what is it,
the 97 ones?
Yeah.
While I don't personally like the shoe a lot, that seems to be more timeless than hype. Reason I say that is because I still see a lot of people talk and wear that shoe to this day, and it's an Air Max. I feel like Air Max is, it's, even though that one is like a hybrid, like just Air Max in general is a very classic and a staple silhouette that is just, it's always going to be timeless.
Okay. So if you were to give one sneaker from this year, that great sneaker category that's going to transcend in the next 10 years, you're like, people are still going to talk about the sneakers. What's one sneaker from this year that you would say is going to transcend that time?
Does it have to be a new silhouette or no?
No.
Oh, that's a tough one. Okay, well, I will tell you one that won't be, which I think will be the Jellyfish. I think very nice shoe. Like, very nice shoe. And I love my pair. And I'm so happy I have one. But I also know that 3-4 years from now, that it's hype. Like, it's not going to transcend time. I feel like a shoe that's actually going to transcend time. I mean, I'm biased, and maybe I'm off base again, but the New Balance 2000 is that shoe. So that's the one that they released this year. Yeah, it released originally like in a baby blue or like Stillwater blue color, and then they had a collab with Amine. And
I got those Amine. Okay, yeah, that's Absorb. Yeah, the 2000. Yeah, okay, yeah.
So the reason I say that is because it has a good use of retro and like futuristic elements. You get a bit of the chunk look, but you also get a bit of the slim look that I feel that you can style it in a lot of different ways that looks good. And I feel like a shoe like that that's what makes it a good shoe, that is just so versatile. I don't know if I could say a specific colorway per se that's like the best for it, but I think that silhouette in its own is something that could really be timeless. If another shoe that I think might be timeless, that is a colorway specific, might be actually what released this year? I have to think.
I'm gonna get while you think about that. I'm gonna share one that I will be shocked if this sneaker in the next 10 years not still getting some like nice colorways. People are partnering with it. It's still very new, but the New Balance 204L, that one that basket
that's
case,
a good model.
and then the Miu Miu collab, like that shoe has that timeless. It could almost fit. Well, not really, but like it could almost fit in like that 990 series. Like those 990s are, all of them are going to be timeless. But I find that 204L that's a good one.
Oh yeah, 204L. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, that's a great shoe. It is the slim look style that has been around for so long, and they did a good job bringing that model out to be a part of that style. So totally agree. I guess a sneaker that I would say more specifically kind of falls into that too is, it's a 993, which, as you just said, timeless. But that Aim Leon Dora 993 that released, really, really good. It's like the Porsche. I mean, we were talking about it before, I think, but it was it's like that Porsche inspired look. It's just a good color. It's really deep green. It's a neutral, and it has a lot of like that luxurious elements to it that I feel like it just will always live through time. Just really nice shoe.
You know what? And this is like almost like aside from the question originally, but I feel like the brick by brick may be. It almost has like the same comparison, just on how like the hype for the sneaker. It has like that same comparison, like the sale Jordan 4 Off-Whites. Like it just like it has like that. I wouldn't say it doesn't have the same, stain in the game because obviously Virgil and when he released at the time that he released that. But I feel like the brick by bricks, just the conversation around that sneaker is going to be talked about for at least another 3 or 4 years. Easy.
Yeah, I think so too. I know a lot of people feel like it's something special, which because it's just like one color, it's suede or whatever, which fine. But maybe it's the fact that it's just so simple in its own way with some good details that will allow it to live through time for so long because you could still wear it so far in the future from now.
Yeah, it kind of has like that Red October vibes to it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it does for sure.
Bringing up the bricks, I think it's time to have the conversation. A company or a brand that gets a lot of hate around that October, November time when they drop their top 10 list. Complex is known for causing some controversy, and I think that was a great. This year, this is probably the most I've seen it talked about, even to this day. I mean, people are still talking about the top 10 list. So I don't know if that's necessarily their goal to try to get people to react to what they're saying. But I asked Sneaks the same question. I was like, what are 3 definitive shoes on that top 10 list that you were like, absolutely deserve?
Okay, so I mean, I do think Brick by Brick should have a spot. I think it is a good shoe, a good story. It hits all the marks, I think, personally. So for sure, definitely deserves their spot, or a spot, I should say. I do actually think the Yachty Air Force Ones do deserve a spot.
You might catch hate on that one. You might catch hate on that one.
Yeah, I know that's controversial, but I think it's this to me. I think it just is a shoe that really speaks to his personality. I think it also speaks to his interests well. And the colorway and the patent leather really tie into that like Bape, Nigo Bape era well, that it just is a good shoe and a really well done shoe in that way. Now, I don't remember what position it was in the list. I wouldn't put it like at a top 3 or anything like that.
It was at 6.
Yeah, like maybe that's high. Like maybe I would have it lower. And then I think the third shoe that could be on that list. I'm just trying to rack my brain about like what shoes were on there.
So we got the Brick by Bricks. We had the undefeated Jordan 4s. We had the Jellyfish. We had the Awake Jordan 5s. We had the Levi's, Air Max, and then the Yachty's, the Infinite Archive Jordan 17s, and then the Shies.
Infinite Archives. I think that was a cool story. I mean, not a shoe that I would wear personally, but I have a big appreciation to how that shoe was designed, how it tied into Don C and Virgil, how it incorporated all the elements of all the different Jordan 17s. Like, it's just really nice in that aspect and really thought out that I think, and it looks good. It's a shoe that looks good, right? Like, it's, even though it's a Jordan 17, it's not something I like. It looks good, and a lot of the Jordan 17 fans like it. So that definitely is a shoe that deserves a spot on the list as well.
Yeah, I feel like my thing was anything past a Jordan, let's say 8, making the top 10 list, that was very shocking. But
yeah,
my criticism for the list was, which I'm sure a lot of people's criticism was, these are mostly Nike affiliates, except maybe 1 or 2 sneakers on that list. And that's where it starts to feel like, okay, this feels like, I don't know how to put this in a way, but like, oh, this is backed by some dollars to try to, push a narrative about sneakers. Because when I kind of went through like a mile reset to like see what sneakers dropped this year, I'm like, there's no way this entire list is filled up with one brand or, umbrella under the same thing. I also felt like, although I do love the Converse Shies, I think it was too soon to put that up there. It was way too soon.
Yeah, I think the Shays, I should say, are nice.
Shea?
I think it's Shea. Yeah.
I don't want basketball.
I don't either, but I believe it's Shea. But yeah, that shoe a bit too soon, and I also think they didn't do a great job capitalizing on a lot of moments with the release and whatnot. So really cool shoe. I think a lot of people were fascinated, but not quite sneaker of the year yet. So I agree. And yeah, you look at that list and you do feel like it's affiliate. And I honestly think is just the way the list is made is they have a subset of people who I guess like they put lists together and then they compile it and then they make a list. I just feel like the people in Complex are just really into Nike and Jordan. I think that's just what it is, unless there's specific brands that kind of like break past that like vision of Nike Jordan. So that was the same comment I had like night of when that list came out, because I was at ComplexCon and stuff, and I said just disappointed that there's no variety. Like shoes weren't only Nike and Jordan. We literally had Salomon, New Balance, Asics, Hoka all drop hits. Like there's definitely, if you broaden your world view a little bit with those brands, you definitely have a more diverse list in that aspect.
Yeah, no, Asics, I think that's a company that I tend to like not necessarily forget about because I like Asics, but like I feel like sometimes they don't go as hard with their releases to like make it known about their releases. Like I feel like I have to like almost dig through the weeds and like, oh, like they're dropping this shoe. Why didn't I see this earlier? That's
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. They're kind of low key, I feel like, in some aspects, especially this year. I feel like they're a lot more low key versus what year would it have been? I think it would have been 2024 or 2023, where I feel like they really like punched through and garnered everyone's attention. But yeah, they drop a lot of bangers.
Yeah, I feel like their Jam collab really put them on like a lot of people's radars. Like those very simple, like I don't know if it was a Keanu 14 or it was like
it was, yeah. Back like, in 2020 or 2021, I guess it was. I think it was 2021.
I want to say 2022. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's check it out. Who's right? Whoa, this is a different sneaker.
It might have been the newer Keanu's that popped up, which came out this year.
Yeah.
I think you're actually right, though. I think it was 2022.
I think so, but we both could be right. It could be like, oh, it's like December 31st, something like that. So yeah, I think it's just like I think with a little bit more promotion, I think people will be rocking a little bit more Asics. I personally love Asics. I have this sneaker right here next to me. I've been begging somebody from Asics to listen to me. Let's go ahead and get the
wow. That's jelly. Those are nice.
The gel Infinity SoCat, the Kiko. We need to do something about these, please. Somebody listen to me.
That's fire.
They dropped the 3-pack for this. It was a black pair, a green pair, this purple pair. Then they had a sample pair that never like hit the streets, but it was a green and white pair. Flawless. One of my favorite sneakers in my closet. Just because also I like wearing things where I don't see a lot of people rocking them.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So we've been actually, before I move on, what's one sneaker that you would have added to this list that you think like could have easily fit there and had people saw it, they would have been like, okay, yeah, that makes sense too?
I think it would have been the Action Bronson Untitled 990 V6s. I really like that shoe. I think that's a shoe that a lot of people might have dismissed, but really good shoe. It actually works very well in hand. Like it's very versatile. I love the way it pops with with the white leather panels. Like it's really well done shoe. And I feel like it fits somewhere on that list. I think it deserves a spot. Or even like, honestly, like there's probably, or like one of the Action Bronson 992s also. Like, I just feel like Action Bronson, any of those 4 sneakers, I would have probably been like, oh yeah, like definitely deserves a spot on there.
Yeah, I think no New Balance, no Saucony, no Asics making that list is kind of crazy.
It is kind of crazy, yeah, because even Saucony had some hits too. Like it's brutal.
They've had some bangers this year. All right, so kind of like just to break the sneaker conversation. I'm always curious on like, because I like sneakers, I also like fashion, I also like things outside of that. So like, what's something that people don't that isn't necessarily displayed on your channel that you occupy? What's something that you just nerd out about that you would just like spend a great deal of time like, I need to figure out this, I need to.
Oh man, I feel like I dedicate a lot of my time with sneakers and whatnot. I feel like the other like things that I like doing a lot that maybe I don't do a good job highlighting is, my wife and I we try out like a lot of coffee shops, and that's kind of like our thing. So that's like something we do a lot of over the weekends, like matcha or coffee or whatever it may be, and just try new places, get a nice drink. I don't know if I go like to the point of like researching online like heavily like I do with sneakers, but definitely like something that fills my mind. I feel like I just have like random like knowledge of just random things, honestly. That's just like how I am. And then sneakers is like the one thing I can like really center on and just really get an expansive knowledge on. So it's like unfortunately not that exciting.
So you said you have an engineering background?
I do, yeah. So like sneakers, social media, all of that, that's more of like a side thing. Like I work a 9 to 5, not as an engineer anymore, but as a project manager. But that's what really gets things pays the bills and gets things going. If I could ever make this like a full-time thing that's paid and comfortable, absolutely I would. But just not quite there yet.
No, I completely understand that. Okay, cool. So I guess then let's change this question just a little bit. You walk into a coffee shop, you can grab a coffee and a pastry. What are you grabbing?
I love my lattes. Typically I'll see what seasonal or special latte they have to make it better than a regular latte. But if nothing catches my eye, latte. Usually get it iced because I run hot. Pastry. Yeah, pastry. Yeah, I know. Like whenever I get a hot drink, like it has to be pretty cold outside for me to survive. Otherwise, I'm just gonna sweat like crazy. And then a pastry, I would say between like a chocolate chip cookie, because I love cookies, and like a like maybe like a coffee cake or something like that. Those would be like my two go-tos.
That's fair. That's a pretty solid list, honestly. It sounds like something I would get. I love everything iced. I don't care if it's snowing outside. I'm probably gonna get an iced drink anyways. A scone, a scone may be my pick. If they have nice
scones
scone,
are good too.
I'll pick up a scone. If not a scone, then a cinnamon roll.
Oh, cinnamon rolls are good. You're gonna make me hungry.
Okay. So bringing it back, this is another conversation that I feel like is very prevalent. I feel like this conversation, even amongst designers, is getting talked about. So I'm liking that aspect. But does exclusivity and limited stock equate to good sneaker?
No. No, like easy no. Like exclusivity and limitedness is what people buy a shoe because they want something that is exclusive. But it doesn't mean it's a good shoe. And you see it all the time with exclusive sneakers that may sell out and have a lot of hype, but then they just like, people just don't talk about them anymore or really wear them because it's like people are just caught up in the hype. There's also instances where exclusive and limited sneakers just don't sell out. So that's also an example of maybe it's exclusive, but like it's not a nice shoe, so no one really cares about it. There's GRs that sell out, and that's because they are good shoes. Like, I mean, I guess technically the Chanel Vans originally were a GR, right? Like they weren't, I guess, like that's what's planned for. And apparently when shops first ordered the shoes, they didn't expect it to be of anything of hype. So that's why stock was so low at the time. So it's just like, like GR sell out. So I don't think there's any relation to it at all.
So this is another piece of that, because I think, again, as you mentioned earlier, there are people who are necessarily, let's use the word leeches, that were within the community that are kind of making their, exit out. Do you feel like, in some sense, that there should be some aspect of gatekeeping within the culture of sneakers?
Yeah, so I think the answer is yes, but there's a bit of nuance to it. Um, for example, I believe that if people want to know how to buy something or how to get something, I think it's fair to give them that information, because like information is knowledge and wealth, and especially if you're a new, like for me, like when I got into sneakers the first time, I had no clue, so I had to rely on searching how to buy stuff. If that information was all gate kept, then you're just shutting people out. And sneakers are supposed to be inclusive as a community, so you want to be able to welcome people in. I think the gatekeeping more so is nuanced in the sense of like telling people specifically what's in, what's not, or like trends or how to dress, or all like kind of like the how to's that are more like related to your individuality. I think those need to be gate kept, because I think what separates you as an individual from other people is how you style certain things, where you find those certain pieces that are more specific. But buying a shoe that's made by a corporation, like, and you want to know where to buy the shoe, like, yeah, I mean, like, I'll tell everyone, hey, like, some people will be like, oh, be quiet because I want a chance. But I'll be like, it's on the internet. Like, if it's on the internet, everyone's going to know eventually. So I'll be like, hey, this shoe is going to release this date, X, and this is where you can buy it. Like, that's fine. But I think, like, trying to think of an example, like, his username is Space T Gray, I believe. Like, he does a lot of like thrifting and whatnot, and I feel like he does a good job in that he's not like really giving game on how he does it, but he kind of gatekeeps where he goes, how he does it, what he buys, and as a result, he's able to style himself and kind of like create something that's true to him. I feel like that's like the type of gatekeeping you're supposed to do.
I'm just processing
that. I don't know if that made sense, but I'm hoping it did.
Yeah, because I if you're somebody who's just getting into sneakers and you don't know, like, because I even get that comment sometimes on my YouTube channel where it's like, oh, where do you get these? Or how do you even, I didn't know these were dropping. It's like, I think people get they get in this space where like, they think they have information that a lot of people are wanting. So then they're like, by giving you this information is going to devalue not devalue, but it's going to limit my chances of getting it. But we already live in a space where your chances are already numbered anyways. So
yeah.
it's like you gatekeeping where to get certain sneakers and certain things. But I think also too, like, how many sneakers are dropping this year? Like, I don't know if you feel this way, but like, I'll see a sneaker, I'm like, damn, I need that sneaker. Like, I'll enter a raffle, I don't get it. And then I get on Instagram and I see another sneaker that's dropping next week, and I'm like, oh, damn, I need that sneaker. I find there's no point to, because there's so many sneakers dropping every week. So like, you're gonna miss out on this thing, but then as soon as you get to scrolling on your timeline, you're gonna see another thing that you're gonna want really bad. So I don't necessarily feel like any remorse by letting somebody like know where I go to get this or go to get that. I feel like that vintage example though, I probably would keep a vintage shop. I'm not gonna lie. I would definitely, I'm not even gonna sit here in front. I would definitely gatekeep where I got a vintage piece from. But a sneaker, like you said, like a major corporation, and you have pages like Little Jupiter, Hypebeast, and all these other pages that are gonna card copy it, or I forget that page, but like they're gonna post about it, so people are gonna know. So nothing's so secretive to where like, you know, you're gonna, I don't know. I feel you know. Yeah. I mean, kind of just like a quick question. Given that this theme that this company has picked up, not any company in particular, but like things that you have been noticing throughout the years, what are like your early 2026 predictions for like a brand that's going to pop off? Because I've been saying for the past couple of months, Adidas is going to have a hell of a year next year.
Yeah. I honestly think it's going to be Hoka. I think Hoka is going to assert itself in the game. I think they're going to have some really good GRs. I think they're going to they're kind of in the process of redoing their marketing and their focus. So I'll give you an example. Salomon is only recently doing really well, very popular with fashion. And it's because they decided to take a completely different approach with their marketing and get their shoe on runways and show that you can style it in a fashionable way. And that's what made them blew up. Hoka, its challenge is kind of similar to that. Everyone views it as a too functional of a shoe, that it's not breaking into the fashion realms. And I think they are currently in the process of trying to remarket themselves to break into that realm and be more fashionable. And I think 2026 is the year that we're going to see a couple pairs probably that, oh yeah, like everyone's going to want them. I'm confident about that. So I think Hoka is the one. I think the other brands is just, they're going to maintain steam. Like they're still going to be solid. They're still going to be pumping out pairs and do well. So I just think Hoka is the one that we should watch for.
Yeah, they did a collab with this company, Una.
Oh yeah, beautiful
like
shoe. And it just went under the radar.
Yeah, that thing was like, honestly, when I clicked on it and it had varying different ones, I was like, oh, that's dope as hell.
Oh yeah, it was a dope shoe. I still on my list to get one day, but dope shoe. They had the Marnie collab, which that one actually got a lot of attention, but the issue was it was a bit outlandish and the price tag, obviously. But I love my pair. I have a pair, very, very comfortable. But yeah, yeah. That's the thing with Hoka, right? Like, they're gonna have they've been having the one collab that gets a lot of attention every year, but they haven't had like any consistency in like New Balance has had with their releases. So I just think next year is going to be that year where they start to get into that phase, assuming that the footwear is good and they push on the right way in their marketing like they have.
Yeah, no, I think Hoka has been popping up on like just if I scroll, I'm looking at Hypebeast, looking at Complex, like seeing Hoka pop up next to like different brands that kind of like have always been around, especially like a New Balance or like a Jordan or something. Like they're kind of like, again, like those brands that appear, like it's like been inching away at trying to get to that point. So I definitely feel you on that. Well, shifting gears now. I think this is something that a lot more people are trying to get into the content space. Hell, I see people in my family who are 50 making TikToks. I'm like,
good for them. That's awesome.
And I think a lot of people, they'll follow individuals on social media. They'll see like, they're getting gifted things, they're getting partnerships, they're getting, all these things. And they're like, damn, I just started my Instagram account. I don't know, like, how do I get to that point? So like, how does one necessarily form a relationship with a company? Because I like forming a relationship with a content creator is easy because like you may comment, you may see that name pop up frequently and you start to recognize them. But like, how do you form a relationship with a company?
It's really hard. That's the answer. I've been doing this for a very long time, and only do I feel like this year that I've garnered a lot of attention from brands and have had opportunities to get product and create for them and help out and that sort of thing. And I think it's a combination of things. I mean, one is networking is important. You have to find the people that actually make the decisions on those sorts of things in those companies. People who are influencer managers for the company or work in marketing, that sort of thing. So that's a big thing. I think the other part of it is just having a bit of a presence and being very extroverted and willing to make cold conversation. Biggest example is sometimes I go on Instagram and I come across people who work for the brand and I'll just shoot them a follow. And the hope is they like my content enough that they follow me back, or I follow them. They don't follow me back right away, but I try to engage and talk with them and see if that gets their attention. So there is a bit of a skill to that, and a bit of like, you need to put in the legwork to really get the attention. Also being outside and being able to meet face to face is a really big win. That gets you a lot of, obviously anyone can go online and communicate, but if you're able to go outside and talk to people and do that sort of thing and really put your name out there, that helps a lot. So, I mean, the answer of it is networking is big. getting your face out there is big, and then just being consistent with your content, growing your content, and even like trying not to think about it too much until you feel like you're in a position that you're actually ready for it. And when I say that, it doesn't mean be like, have an ego and be like, oh yeah, my content's awesome, no one can be better than me, but really recognize that, hey, your content is something you can actually stand behind and be proud of to get there. And for me, like, if I'm being honest, I feel like I was there 5 or 6 years into the game, but I didn't get the recognition until now, which is about almost 9 years in. So it's just sometimes part of it is just not only your content. Like there's just a lot to it, you know. Like that's basically what I'm trying to get at is content, your people's perception of you, being able to network, like all of that plays a role into your ability to succeed. And it seems like once you get one or a few, it kind of starts to be more consistent after that. Because when you can show you can provide with free product and provide a service that they want, then more people are willing to do the same.
Yeah. It like kind of reminds me of like when I used to go to job fairs in college, and it's like I have to like give my spiel to a person, and then like, because like your spiel in like like an elevator pitch, your spiel is your content.
That's your sell.
Like, yeah. So if like they go to if you follow someone, and then they go to your page, what are they going to see? Are they going to see that you've been posting 2 days every day for the past 3 years? Oh, this is a grinder. So like they'll, you know, like I feel like it's a give and a take with building that relationship. Because I've built relationships with people and like they've gone to different companies, but like I still maintain that connection because just because you left the company doesn't mean like now I'm going to be like, oh, away with you. You can't.
Yeah, you also don't want to make the relationship seem transactional, right? Yeah. Like you still want to be connected with the person, which, and it's obvious when people are trying to be transactional versus genuine, right? Like you want to be genuine. And I think also I have the belief that authenticity and being genuine wins at the end of the day. And I didn't really believe that until one of the people I met, his name's Kyle, would always say like, you know, good always wins. Good content will always win at the end of the day. And how that, you know, being genuine and being authentic will always come to light. And that really is something that I truly believe in now, that, you know, after talking to them and seeing it for myself, that as long as you're genuine, as long as you're making good content, like that will always come out and succeed in the long run. It may not be immediate. It may not be you wake up one day with a huge surge of following and brand deals, but it will come as long as you're consistent and that's what your work is based off of.
I'm going to pose a scenario. So a relationship you build up, you know, whether it be with a brand or with a person that works for a company, they gift you something and, you know, they're like, oh, can you make some content about it? But this thing that they gifted you doesn't necessarily align with your style. Do you feel obligated to give good positive sentiment towards it? Or would you in that sense say, no, this is not necessarily in line with my style. I don't think I can do that. Like, how would you go about something that doesn't align with your style, but you're being gifted from somebody that you formed a relationship with?
I mean, it really depends on the scenario. If they're asking me ahead of time and I can make a decision or like decide whether I want it or not at that point, then I will be candid and just say, hey, like, I don't think I would do well with this. But if it's like shows up at my door and I get it, then, you know, I still feel like I've made a commitment that when I get something that I have to do what they're looking for, which is promotion. So I will promote the product. But I will try to be as honest as possible without necessarily bashing the shoe. Like there's always the constructive criticism thing, but also like, what's an example? Like I don't wear a lot of black shoes, right? Like I'm not a big all black shoe wearer because I feel like I wear a lot of color in my outfits and not really just like all black fits or gray and stuff. So it doesn't work well. But I kind of look at it as, okay, this doesn't speak bad on the product or the shoe that I got. And it just means it's a challenge for me to try something new and go out of my comfort zone and do that. And so that's what I do. Like I just give it my best shot to style it in a way that I feel like would not take away from the shoe and to, do and provide the service that person in the relationship is looking for. Because I don't want to do something that harms our relationship in a negative way. And I think if they sent it to me, they obviously trust me to provide a service in the best quality that I can. So I got to follow through with that.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I think sometimes when it comes to, our followers, they follow what we do, they see what we say and things like that. So they're like, oh, that doesn't necessarily align with his style. But I always try to give constructive criticism too. And I try not to be so judgmental up front. Because sometimes I may see something like, oh, that's trash. But then my perception of it is through a screen. So
yeah,
it had to be 2022. In 2022, a sneaker company reached out to me. They're like, hey, we want to work with you. I'm going to keep it above. The shoes I thought were trash. I was like, but I'll do it because I'm getting paid. I need some money. I need to pay my rent. But when I got the shoes, it was probably some of the best quality sneakers I've ever felt. I'm like, wow. Damn, I basically just I almost didn't accept something because my perception of it online and what I saw on their product images, I was like, oh, this is trash. But then I get it, and the material is probably, I'm telling you, it was probably some of the best leather I've ever felt. And I was like, damn, I wouldn't even know about this experience of this leather had I just said, oh, it's trash, and nah, I'm moving on. I think sometimes people get their perception can be skewed based on things online.
For sure.
Cool. I mean, I really feel like one of these questions we can skip over.
Okay, sure.
But I think this last one is always going to be the one that really helps somebody out there who may be tuning in and how do I even start? Because I think the scalability of following now, because you get on Instagram, people are high-res images, they're using Photoshop and there's a wave out of a sneaker.
Yeah.
You see it, you're like, I don't even have an iPhone. So what advice can you give to a creator, whether it be starting Instagram or TikTok or YouTube channel, trying to break into this space? Because, one thing that I love about what's happening with the world now, even though people may say it's flooded, is a lot more people are getting voices. Yeah. And I think that could be a good and a bad. So I'm not going to say it's all good, but a lot of people are getting voices and people are able to speak up for themselves within the space that they occupy. So for that person that's just starting out, they're like, I just made my account. How do I get to the space that I want to be, whether it be I see what my favorite content creators doing, basically?
I mean, best thing I can say is just start. I think a lot of people spend too much time thinking about what they want to do and not actually doing it. I think it's a bit of a fear of failure. I think it's, failure that they have a vision to do something and then when they actually try to do it, they aren't able to do it. But so that's part of it. So I really feel like just, use what you have. If you have an idea, try to execute it. If it doesn't work, learn why it didn't work and then do it again and just get better. All creation, even for myself, I didn't just one day pick up a camera and produce, you've seen my Instagram, what I was making in 2015, 2016 is not nearly as polished as what I put out now. And even to this day, I am always learning. I am always trying something new. I am always making mistakes. I literally just shot these John Geiger shoes and realized that I kept one of the paper tab on the pull tab in the back. He has a paper cover, and I realized I kept one. When I got home, I did all the photos. I'm like, okay, it is what it is. I made that mistake, and it bugged me. But at the end of it, I was like, I just got to work slower, not do it again. I still make mistakes, but ultimately, what I'm trying to get at is just start. Look at what you know what you want to do, try it, learn from it, continue to grow. And as you feel more confident and you feel like your gear is actually starting to limit you, that's when you start investing and start to get better gear so that you can do better things. But you just have to start somewhere. All creators start it somewhere. And that's the best advice I could give.
Just do.
Just do. And don't think, because, you know, like I said, like when you start thinking about it too much, you're going to think about all the details, and then you're just not going to start because you get stuck thinking. And you just have to do.
Nah,
and you can't get better without doing.
That is probably some of the best advice, literally. Because I think even now with some YouTube videos, I'll overcritical analyze everything. I'm like, damn, my lips are kind of chapped. Fuck, I gotta reshoot the whole thing. And it's like, bro, just like put it up. Because most people aren't gonna notice that. They're gonna see it, they're gonna be like, oh, that's fire. And they're gonna keep scrolling. I think
that's exactly it. Yeah.
I hyper fixate on things. I'm like, nobody else is even gonna notice this.
Yeah. And it's just because we are creators and we take pride in our work that we get so stuck on like being perfect. But it was actually funny because I was watching, you know how like Kevin James is doing that like big old push, he's pretending to be like Mr. Taylor or whatever. He has a pay. Well, anyways, he's doing this. I think it's like for a movie he's releasing next year. So he pretended to be like this teacher. That's his name is like, I forget his full name, but his name is like Mr. Taylor, and he's like an art teacher and stuff. And I watched one of the videos because I was actually really intrigued that he was doing this cameo thing. But I watched one of his videos on his page, and he was saying that that perfect is the enemy of good, and ultimately he was saying, instead of always trying to be perfect and be perfect at being perfect, be perfect at being good. Which, to me, what that meant is, don't achieve perfection, but achieve being happy with whatever result you are able to get.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that hit deep. I
don't even want to follow that up with anything. That was fine.
Yeah, that hit deep to me. And I was like, you know what? You're right. Like, it's very hard to have a perfect piece of content. So just do.
Yeah, absolutely. As always, bro, I want to say thank you to the guests. I want to say thank you to you. It's a weekend day. You can be doing anything other than sitting here chopping it up with me, but I appreciate you took your time out to, put my subscribers and other people who may reach this video on game about your journey, what you feel about what's going on in the sneaker space, because we're both here for a reason. We both like these things. We want to see these things continue to grow. So I appreciate you, bro, for real. This was dope. And then I want people to always recognize this is my first time talking.
Yeah. It was first time talking, but we're vibing.
Yeah,
so I absolutely love it. I really appreciate you having me on to chat and just talk sneakers and content and whatever. Honestly.
Yeah, well, that. But without further ado, like I always do, I will catch y'all in that next one.